Welcome to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. I am Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Doc Wallach today. It's great to have you here. We're going to be taking your phone calls in a little bit. If you have questions about medications, supplements, the longevity products, if you want to get off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, or you want to share a success story, or if you just have a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Our number today is 831-685-1080, 831-685-1080. That is your priority line number. You can also call us toll-free at 888-379-2552. That's 888-379-2552. Most of you guys know I am a nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I specialize in using nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs, and I am fortunate and honored to be guest hosting for Doc Wallach today on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. I thought we'd start off the program today talking about Avandia. Some of you may know last week the FDA, in all its wisdom, lifted restrictions on the diabetes drug. It placed Avandia back in the good graces of prescribers everywhere back in 2010. The FDA, the government agency charged with regulating the deadly poisons that are supposed to keep us healthy. Go figure out how that works. I'm a trained registered pharmacist, and I can't figure out how these deadly drugs are supposed to reverse degenerative disease. In any case, the FDA 3 years ago placed restrictions on the drug, allowing only certain pharmacies to dispense it, allowing only certain doctors to prescribe it to certain patients. These restrictions were placed on the drug because of the potential links of Avandia to heart disease. Now, 3 years later, the FDA has decided that these restrictions are no longer necessary. Yippee! Now everyone and anyone whose blood sugar is so out of whack that it threatens their health is going to be lucky enough to be able to take a poison that will change their genetics. That's how Avandia works. It works at the epigenetic level. And anyone now who has diabetes or has a blood sugar problem is going to be lucky enough to be able to take Avandia and, of course, its partner in crime, Actos, both of which work at the genetic level. They change genes. And even though scientists aren't exactly sure how these things work, what we do know is that they have effects on lots of different parts of the body. Yes, they can lower blood sugar and improve blood sugar response, but they have effects on other parts of the body. And keep in mind now, Avandia is a drug that was approved by the FDA in 1999, even though the manufacturers of the drug, the multinational, multi-billion-dollar company GlaxoSmithKline, knew good and well that the stuff was dangerous. Avandia and Actos were the first of a new class of drugs for diabetes that worked by jacking up the insulin response rather than affecting blood sugar directly, like metformin and the other more low-tech medications that people use for diabetes. When Avandia first came out, it was heralded as being a revolutionary way of treating diabetes. Within 7 years of its release, it was generating multi-billions of dollars in sales. Then in 2007, it started to become evident that there were some problems, and drug sales of Avandia began to plummet. The company that makes the stuff was actually found to have hidden research that showed, before the drug was released on the innocent and unsuspecting public, that Avandia could actually cause cardiovascular events. Is anybody surprised that drug companies hide research? Hopefully at this point, we all recognize that drug companies don't have our health in mind. It's a bottom-line business, as all businesses are bottom-line businesses, and it should come as no surprise that drug companies hide research, and indeed it was found that Avandia, the manufacturers of Avandia, did just that. In any case, by 2012, Avandia had gone from $2.5 billion in sales to a little over $12 million in sales. In the past couple of years, there's been almost 14,000 lawsuits that have been filed against GlaxoSmithKline for Avandia, a little over 11,000 which have been settled. The European equivalent of the FDA, the so-called European Medicine Agency, has recommended that Avandia be taken off the market. It is banned in several countries in Europe. New Zealand has banned it. India has banned it. Actos is banned in some countries around the world as well. Here in the United States, we are lucky enough to still be able to get Actos, and now after a couple of years of restrictions, you can also get Avandia pretty easily if you like to. Great. Lucky us. Listen, folks, this idea of using drugs to treat diabetes is not only dangerous, it is flat out stupid with a capital S, and it's medically ignorant as well. The vast majority of drug therapy, with the exception of antibiotics and pain pills and maybe occasionally chemotherapy, is just bad science. And this is true of any drug that you are on that is purporting to treat a degenerative disease, whether it's arthritis or whether it's an immune disease, whatever. I'm talking all drugs that are used to treat degenerative disease. Blood thinners, antihypertensive, cardiovascular drugs, Fosamax, whatever. There is no way a drug can improve or reverse degenerative disease. And a degenerative disease is a disease that by definition does not get better. These kinds of drugs only hide symptoms, and they only give you better test scores, and better test scores on tests that are made by the people selling us the drugs. This drug mentality is a scam of historic proportions, and it is literally killing and maiming humanity by the tens, by the hundreds of thousands, even by the millions. Avandia and Actos cause heart disease? Is anybody shocked? How can anybody possibly be surprised by adverse reactions to drugs that work by poisoning the body, that have their mechanisms of action described by how well they shut down biochemical reactions? Listen, guys, no drugs are good. They are all poisons. They're all toxins, and they all have to be detoxified. All drugs are going to deplete the body of nutrients. I'm talking prescription drugs that are prescribed by healthcare professionals who should know better. On top of all of that, they don't reverse degenerative disease in any case. So we take our drugs, we spend our money. For Actos and Avandia, you could spend a couple $100 a month. They're not helping reverse degenerative disease. They're only causing toxicity. What the heck is the purpose of these things if it's not simply to make money for a drug company? So what can we do? Are we really stuck with this crazy medical model that enriches drug companies and doctors as we get sicker and fatter and more miserable? No. Absolutely not. We can get on a nutritional supplement program. Diabetes is a lifestyle choice. Reversing it is in our hands. It is our jobs. It is our responsibilities. And it is as simple as making better lifestyle choices and getting yourself on a good nutritional supplement program like the one designed by Doc Wallach and all the folks at Youngevity. All right, got more to say about this. We're coming back at you with more good health information. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. I'm Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Doc Wallach today. We'll be back right after this. What's going on today, Doug? Is it snowing out there?
No, not yet, but we are having some unseasonably cool weather here.
I heard that.
Just a little over 30 degrees on my deck, and that's kind of unheard of here in California.
We're in a blizzard here. Yeah, I did hear that you guys are having some unseasonably cold weather.
Yeah, I think the same front that's coming through here is headed your way. So I wanted to talk today about technology. As everyone loves their tablets and their smartphones and all this high-tech stuff. Everybody's connected all the time. You see people driving around doing this stuff, even though most states have laws against it, but they're so connected to it that they're willing to take the couple $100 ticket. I've got a CNN story here headlined, Modern Day Health Woes Solved. Say not too long ago, a phone was just a phone, but not the case any longer. It said there is such a thing now called tablet neck and BlackBerry thumb. Said all that hunching over and tapping on hand devices like tablets and smartphones is leading to more and younger patients with arthritis and tinnitus in the elbows, necks, and thumbs. According to a study from the journal Applied Ergonomics, they say 84% of mobile phone users report pain at least one body part, most often the base of the right thumb. According to Dr. Kenneth Means Jr., a hand surgery specialist at MedStar Union Memorial Hospital in Baltimore, says even light pressure can be magnified 5 to 10 times at the base of the thumb joint. Goes on to say, doesn't mean you have to give up your Instagramming. Some simple precautions you can do before you type. Advises holding the phone at about chest-high level when you're looking at the screen. Another Applied Ergonomics study found that 91% of people staring down at their smartphones are staring at the navel level, which strains the backs of their necks. Said if you have a tablet, use a stand instead of placing it flat on a table or holding it up. Both positions, curve your shoulders painfully, get up, stretch periodically, try not to slam your fingers down on the screen or keyboard. Finally, consider making phone calls instead of all those texts and emails. And then they move on to another topic, and that is something that I think I see a few people in my age group doing this, but it's mostly the younger crowd. These earbuds, they say, were once limited to construction workers, rock stars, and the elderly. Noise-related hearing loss is now a concern for regular folks of all ages. A report from Johns Hopkins School of Public Medicine says the country may be facing an epidemic from the growing use of personal listening devices. They say, moreover, these hearing loss and related problems like tinnitus, buzzing, and ringing in the ears is showing up more profoundly once they set in. According to Dr. Jane Sadler, she's a family practitioner at Baylor University Medical Center. She says, I have more and more younger patients lately asking to be tested because they're worried about their hearing. No wonder. They say these earbuds pipe in high volume, high fidelity sound through your eardrum, not to mention the ubiquity of portable listening and viewing devices. He said long or repeated exposure over 85 decibels can damage your hearing. An MP player playing at full volume is around 105 decibels. That's louder than a power drill or a passing Harley. They go on to say the solution is naturally to turn down the volume on the device, limit the amount of time. They say try following the 60-60 rule, which is listening to music through your earbuds no more than 60 minutes a day, using 60% of the max volume. Better yet, they say use noise canceling or noise isolating buds. Best of all, old school headphones are generally safer. And now they also have another one of these modern-day things, and that's screen-related sleep disorder. They say these light-emitting diodes, or LED screens, a type of screen that most computers, phones, TVs, and other devices these days are using, inhibit the production of sleep-inducing hormone melatonin and disrupt our circadian rhythms. Researchers believe it's because the LED-generated blue light emits wavelengths very similar to daylight, so our bodies think it's daytime all the time. In a 2011 study from the journal Applied Physiology, participants who viewed an LED screen at bedtime had melatonin levels that took longer to rise and remained lower during the night than when they looked at old-fashioned fluorescent monitors. They say these aren't off the hook as well, though. They go on to say that these other researchers found that the energy from fluorescent light bulbs and release blue light that suppresses melatonin more than traditional incandescents. So there you go.
That's a lot of stuff, man.
Technology is killing us.
Holy moly. What do you think about taking melatonin for your digestive system? Did they say anything about that?
No, they didn't get into that.
All right, well, that's an interesting subject. A lot of folks know about melatonin for helping them go to sleep, but melatonin is actually a digestive hormone as well. All right, we've got more to say. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. If you want to get on board with us, our number's 831-685-1080 or toll free 888-379-2552. I am Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Doc today along with Doug Winfrey. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program, and we'll be back after this. Doug, a couple of things I want to get to before we get to our calls. First of all, did you know melatonin is a digestive hormone? A lot of folks don't realize that.
I think I'd heard you say that at some point.
It is just as important for the digestive system as it is for mental health. There's actually hundreds of times more melatonin made in your digestive tract than there is in your pineal gland. And the reason I bring this up is because you were talking about this whole idea of lights and circadian rhythms and the light-dark cycle. And
there's the study with mice that when they had light in their environment at night, that they, even though eating the same calories and having the same activity level, they actually seem to gain weight.
Exactly. And sometimes I wonder, considering the fact that it's only been since the late 19th century, maybe 1880s or so, that we've had 24/7 lighting, and really didn't even have 24/7 lighting around the country until maybe the middle of the 20th century. I wonder sometimes how much this lighting, this 24/7 lighting, affects our circadian rhythms and ultimately affects our weight, and how much of that has to do with the fact that we're not making this nighttime hormone melatonin as much as we should. And as it turns out, serotonin, which is a vigilance hormone, is made in response to light. And perhaps we're having serotonin issues, mood issues, depression issues, problems with mental health, and problems with melatonin secretion secondary to or following this disruption in light-dark cycles that we've been undergoing, that we've been dealing with in the last 150 years. And if you're having a problem losing weight and at the same time you're having problems sleeping, or you're one of those folks that's burning the midnight oil, or if you're using an LED-type device, a tablet at bedtime, you might want to consider supplementing with a little bit of melatonin before you go to bed. And especially if you're finding that you can't lose weight, even though you're dieting and even though you're exercising and doing all the things we're supposed to be doing to lose weight, maybe you might need a little bit of melatonin, a couple of milligrams, 3 to 6 milligrams before you go to bed. Personally, I take 6 milligrams at night before I go to bed, and helps me sleep. And on top of everything else, melatonin gives you great dreams. Another thing I wanted to talk about, Doug,
dreams?
Really awesome dreams. We'll leave it at that. But another thing I wanted to talk about, you were saying about the whole the thumb thing with texting and with the hands, and what's the term you used for?
It was tablet, neck, and BlackBerry thumb.
Tablet, neck, and BlackBerry.
I don't know
thumb.
why BlackBerry gets the the bad name there, though.
Well, you got to
Probably
use
more
your,
people using iPads and iPods.
but you still got to use your thumbs, no, for a BlackBerry? I haven't had a BlackBerry in a long time. What about CM cream?
Well, I think that would be great. It's a
Wouldn't that
natural
be?
anti-inflammatory. It works on a lot of things.
Love the CM cream, and I heard you talking about it on a spot that we just ran, CM cream for the ears. Why don't you tell me a little bit about
Yeah, Doc recommends that for a variety of reasons. If you have like plugged up sinuses or if you've got some tinnitus, then you put a little bit, about a quarter teaspoon, off the tip of a Q-tip, just like you're cleaning your ear, but you stuff some of the CM cream in. 3 or 4 times a day. It lasts for about 4 to 5 hours, and you'll start finding some relief on a lot of levels.
Anti-inflammatory. You know what's neat about the CM cream? It's completely 100% non-toxic. How do you like that? It works very effectively. In fact, I consider it to be the most effective topical anti-arthritis or anti-inflammatory you can use, and it's completely 100% non-toxic.
And
that's
it's
the power
not greasy either. And a lot of lotions and things leave your hands and things feeling like you've just slathered a bunch of grease on, and CM cream is absorbed completely into your skin because its base is essential fatty acids.
And you know what else? Nobody talks about this, but inflammation has a lot to do with wrinkles and accelerated aging and dark spots as well. So I haven't seen any literature about this, but CM cream may be a nice anti-aging topical product as well. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Doc today along with Doug Winfrey. We're coming back with your phone calls. Our number is 831-685-1080 on our priority line, or toll-free 888-379-2552. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. We'll be back after this. All right, we're back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. I am Pharmacist Ben, along with Doug Winfrey, sitting in for Doc today. Douglas, new research from the Journal of the American Chemical Society suggests that zinc prevents the formation of amylin, which is a clumpy-like protein that can form inside the pancreas and can affect diabetics. Amylin's the same kind of stuff that forms in the brain when you have Parkinson's disease, and it's similar to the same kind of stuff that forms in the eyes when you have macular degeneration. A little bit of zinc can go a long way towards decreasing amylin if you're a diabetic.
What form would you recommend in zinc? Would it be like zinc picolinate? Or
that's my favorite form, is zinc picolinate, but the BTT's got a good dose of zinc in there. It's not the picolinate form, but it's liquid zinc, so it goes right to work. You'll get some zinc in the Ultimate Daily as well. The point is that zinc, something as simple as zinc, can go a long way towards helping if you got diabetes, if you're dealing with Alzheimer's disease, if you're dealing with eye problems, not to mention skin health issues, not to mention immune health issues. Zinc is also important for protecting you from the flu if you're out there considering getting the flu vaccine. It's stories like this, Doug, that I read every single day that as a pharmacist make me think, what the heck are we doing with this drug mentality? This idea of using prescription drugs when there's not only nutrients that are available to help reverse degenerative disease, but the degenerative diseases are caused in the first place by deficiencies in these substances, deficiencies in zinc and vitamin C and protein and essential fatty acids, all these things that you can get in a good nutritional supplement program like the one designed by Doc Wallach, all these things that you can get in the Healthy Start Pack and the Mighty 90. It'll cost you $120 a month, $3 a day, same price as a hamburger and a Coke and a bag of French fries. You can get all your nutritional needs met. This is it's important for everybody, important for being alive, but especially important if you're dealing with some kind of degenerative health disease. And 80 million Americans or more are dealing with these kinds of degenerative diseases. By definition, diseases that don't reverse themselves, that just chronically go down, make our health go downhill. Folks, whatever you're dealing with, get yourself on a supplement program, get yourself on the Healthy Start Pack, give it a shot, find yourself a longevity rep, ask them for the Mighty 90, ask them for, at the very least, ask them for the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and watch what happens. All right. Time to hit the phones, Douglas. Our number 831-685-1080 or toll-free 888-379-2552. Who's first up?
Before we go on, I want to say that you can explain the whole drug mentality in one word.
Yeah, money?
Shareholders.
Okay, close.
There you go. Let's head on to St. Louis, Missouri. And Marie, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What up, Marie?
Hey, Ben. I'm calling on behalf of a friend who has a daughter who's 19 years old, about 105 pounds. 8 or 9 months ago, she started having some strange symptoms. She lost all muscle strength in both of her hands. She had shooting pains, numbness, weakness in both arms, headaches, blurred vision, progressed to double vision, odd memory lapses, significant loss.
Whoa. What, did she get into an accident? Did she get hurt somehow?
No, she was
just
seen
spontaneously?
she was seen in a couple of cities, including the Mayo Clinic there in Minnesota, and they did MRIs and other things. They determined there was no neurological disease, but that she had something called thoracic outlet syndrome, which is something between the base of the skull and the collarbone, I think, that compresses a major artery and a nerve coming down the arm. And just recently then, she was seen by some physical therapists, and they diagnosed her as having a connective tissue disorder.
Okay.
Called
Say no more.
hypermobility, and the name of it is Ehlers-Danlos.
Don't matter. The name doesn't matter. They give names to everything. That's what doctors do. They give a name to something, and then they bill you for naming it. All she's got is some kind of inflammatory issue. Now, this thoracic outlet syndrome is just a pressure thing where you have a pressure placed on the nerves in the spine, and that can indeed be causing the problem. The fact that she's been diagnosed with a connective tissue disease is not surprising. That simply means that there's some kind of inflammation in the connective tissue. Hang tight. We'll finish up when we come back from our break. All right, we are back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program, talking to Marie in the Show Me State, St. Louis. Marie, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, so your friend has got a connective tissue disorder, not surprising. Here's the deal. First of all, you want to look for other symptoms. It's very unlikely that somebody's going to have a connective tissue disorder that can cause that kind of pressure on the nerves that will lead to all of those symptoms, unless they have some kind of underlying thing going on. Assuming there was no accident or no trauma, and that's what you said. There wasn't any kind of trauma, so it's very unusual for this thing just to appear. So chances are there's some underlying symptoms, and the reason this is important is because that's really the root of the problem. That's where you need to be at if you're going to reverse this thing. The most likely place to find underlying symptoms is always going to be digestion, and this is going to monitoring her digestive system is going to be the best thing that she can do. Looking for problems with bowel movements, gas, bloating, heartburn, anything like that, and then linking those up to foods. The chances are real good if she's got a connective tissue disorder that it involves inflammation, which means it involves the immune system. And anytime you've got inflammation in the immune system, pretty much all the time you're going to have a digestive issue. That means eliminating problem foods, using digestive support. I'd be getting your friend's daughter on the Ultimate Enzymes first and foremost for a couple of reasons. Number one, if she takes the Ultimate Enzymes with food, that can help her process nutrients and can minimize the likelihood of any kind of digestive reactions. And secondly, if she takes the digestive enzymes on an empty stomach, they can function as a wonderful anti-inflammatory. That's one of the neatest things about the Ultimate Enzymes is you can use them as an anti-inflammatory when you take them on an empty stomach, a pain reliever, and you can also use them as for digestive support if you take them with food. So Ultimate Enzymes, number one. Number two, the Biolumin Nightly Essence, which is my all-time favorite probiotic supplement. Everybody needs a probiotic supplement, whether you're dealing with a connective tissue disorder or an autoimmune disorder or an inflammatory disorder, or even if you're healthy. Everybody needs a good probiotic supplement, and the Biolumin Nightly Essence is not only a good probiotic supplement, but it also has digestive enzymes in there as well. So that's the second thing that you want to do. Of course, the Healthy Start Pack goes without saying, and that's especially important about the Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids, which can have a wonderful anti-inflammatory effect, help improve connective tissue disease. And then probably a good source of protein is a good idea. Whey protein is the best. You can use the Nature's Whey product. And then last but most certainly not least, eating less food. Every time you eat food, your body's immune system wakes up. It sparks up. And if she is dealing with an inflammatory issue that is secondary to an immune problem, by eating less calories, she can experience some pain relief and some reduction in some of the inflammatory disorder, inflammatory pain. And, of course, the Healthy Start Pack is important just to be able to make sure that she gets the bottom line nutrients, especially things like magnesium, vitamin E, vitamin C, all of which have wonderful anti-inflammatory properties. Sipping on the BTT all day long is always a good idea. And thank you so much for your call from St. Louis, Missouri. Appreciate it very much. Moving on. Who's next on the line, Douglas?
Let's head to Pineville, North Carolina. And, Carol, you're on with pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Carol?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Pretty good.
Yeah? How can we help you, Carol?
I'm a dialysis patient, and I saw the doc on the Benny Hinn show, and he said how he helped someone with kidney failure.
Yeah, he's helped a lot of people with kidney failure. I didn't know Doc was on Benny Hinn. When was that?
Last week.
Very cool. Love Benny Hinn. That's awesome. So Benny Hinn's getting into nutrition. That's a good thing. All right, so here's the deal. Doc has gotten people off of dialysis. First of all, you want to use the Ultimate Daily, a multiple vitamin, and that'll get you your basic nutrient needs. Make sure you're on the Mighty 90. The thing about dialysis and kidney disease is you're going to be losing a lot of water-soluble nutrients. That means the B complex, that means vitamin C, and that means electrolytes, and you want to make sure you're replacing those. And that means Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Healthy Start Pack. Of course, vegetable juices, vegetable soups are always a good idea. Those are great sources of electrolytes. And then, let's see what else I could tell you about. The OsteoMag is probably a good idea as well. Make sure you're getting on enough magnesium. Indeed, Doc has gotten people off of dialysis, and he's had some good success with people who've had kidney disease. Make sure that you're getting your Mighty 90 nutrients and focus on the water-soluble nutrients as well, the electrolytes, vitamin C, and the B complex. By the way, electrolytes are potassium, calcium, magnesium, sodium, and chloride, and phosphorus as well, although most people don't have a problem with that one. So veggie juices, the Healthy Start Pack, the Ultimate Daily, sip on the BTT all day long, and good luck. God bless you, and thanks for your call. Okay, who's next, Douglas?
Let's head to Oregon, and Dan, you're on with pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hey, Dan.
Hi, Ben.
What's going on, buddy?
I'm calling for my dad,
Okay.
George,
Okay.
and he's 88 years old.
Oh, awesome.
And sharp as a tack.
That's
Weighs
awesome.
180 pounds and is about 6'4", but we're going through some very serious issues with him. He's in skilled nursing right now. He had, call it a bed sore ulcer on his tailbone that got badly infected and had to be debrided by a surgeon. So it is now a stage 4 wound, very, very bad. They're packing it with various chemicals, including bleach, and also, his skin's breaking down in general. He's got some bad wounds on his feet and ankle.
Fats. I got one word for you. Fats. It's a 4-letter word. Fats. Essential fatty acids. Yeah, it sounds like, for all skin issues, but especially for pressure wounds and for skin that doesn't heal, for dry skin, essential fatty acids. Now, folks, listen up. If you're not supplementing with an EFA, an essential fatty acid supplement like the Ultimate EFAs, where the heck do you think you're going to get your EFAs from? They're impossible to find in food. Unless you're eating raw liver by the spoonful, you're not going to get them in, or raw fish liver by the spoonful, or you're eating pounds of grains or pounds of nuts. It's impossible to get essential fatty acids from foods. And on top of that, once you start to have experience digestive problems, liver problems, pancreatic issues, stomach issues, you're not going to even absorb essential fatty acids from your foods. Now, what's the key word in essential fatty acids? Essential. That means you gotta have it. That means you gotta have it in your diet and in your foods. If you're not getting them in your diet and your foods, if your digestive system is compromised, and it's almost impossible to be 88 years old and not have a compromised digestive system, you're looking at a human body that is probably devoid of essential fatty acids. Now, without EFAs, you can't make hormones, prostaglandin hormones. These are master hormones that control all the other hormones. Without essential fatty acids, you can't make more proteins. You can't make more skin tissue. You can't make moisturizing fats and moisturizing lipids for the skin. You can't heal. You're probably looking at a guy who hasn't had any essential fatty acids in his body for decades, at the very least for years. So get him on the EFAs, the Ultimate EFAs, as soon as you can. Now, you're going to probably have to start him off with a lower dose because he's more than likely going to have a problem absorbing these things. Have him take his Ultimate EFAs, maybe start him off at 1 a day, then go up to 2 a day, work your way up to 8 or 9 of them a day, have him taking them with foods, throw in the Ultimate enzymes, make sure he's taking them with the Ultimate enzymes. It's always a good idea, by the way, to use apple cider vinegar with your Ultimate enzymes. And then also, I'd be using fat-supporting aids like lecithin or maybe some bile salts. You'll get a little bile salts in the Ultimate enzymes as well. And don't forget about the Mighty 90 because there's other nutrients as well that can help heal the skin. Vitamin E is very, very important for healing the skin, and so is vitamin C. As a matter of fact, vitamin C is not only important internally for healing, same with vitamin E. Vitamin E and C are not only important internally, they can also be helpful topically. Make sure you're using fatty vitamin C. It's called lipophilic vitamin C. And make sure you're using vitamin E. You can make a little paste with them, vitamin E and vitamin C paste. Put it right on the wound. You can also use colloidal silver. Colloidal silver's got some wonderful healing properties. I'd be doing that way before I'd use any nasty chemicals from a pharmacist or a doctor. And then you might even want to try some Lugol solution, which is an iodine solution that can accelerate the healing of wounds and pressure sores and that kind of thing. So, long story short, your dad is probably dealing with a essential fatty acid deficiency in addition to a fatty vitamin and fatty nutrient deficiency, and he's probably dealing with an overall nutritional deficiency. So get him on the Mighty 90. You can use topical vitamin E and topical vitamin C, topical colloidal silver, topical Lugol solution, and please don't forget about those essential fatty acids along with digestive enzymes and fat-supporting nutritional supplements. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. All right, we're back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. I'm Pharmacist Ben, along with Doug Winfrey. 831-685-1080 is your priority line number, 888-379 toll-free. Got a couple more minutes to talk to you. Who's next on the line, Douglas?
Let's head to Lincoln, Nebraska. And Rick, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Rick?
Hey, my wife's got a dental appointment to remove her four upper teeth in her mouth. She lost her molars about 20 years ago and went with bridges when she could afford it. And she's just horrified that the dentist says that she has to have these teeth pulled, and it's basically due to an abscess above her two front upper teeth, and antibiotics won't get rid of it, and she's had several cavities in each of her natural teeth. And anyways, if God can heal every other organ, what about the teeth?
Well, the thing about the teeth
infection and regenerate her bone tissue.
Was it the gums or the teeth?
Well, her lower teeth are fine. It's like her upper teeth are just.
But is the problem in the gum, or is it actually in the tooth itself, or is it in the gums?
Well, her gums are receding.
Well, yeah. It sounds like, here's the deal, my friend. It sounds like your wife is having a general degenerative problem, and it's part of it is showing up in the mouth, but she's probably degenerating all over. So what you want to do, and I can't tell you, given the abscesses in the teeth, I'm not there, so I can't tell you about this specific condition. But what you really want to be focusing on is, why is your wife dissolving? You ever see the Wizard of Oz? You know the movie The Wizard of Oz? Have you ever seen that? You never seen it? Okay, you know at the end of The Wizard of Oz, they throw water on the witch, and the witch goes, I'm melting. She dissolves, excuse me, into a puddle on the ground. That's what happens to us as we get older. Our bodies dissolve. And this shows up as receding gums. It shows up as osteoporosis. It shows up as degenerative diseases of all kinds. It shows up as connective tissue disorder. But what it really is our bodies are dissolving. Our bodies are melting. And they melt for two reasons. Number one, they melt because of the things that we're putting into it. And number two, they melt because of the things we're not putting into it. So first and foremost, you got to focus on foods that amp up the inflammatory response. And that means all of the usual suspects, the refined foods, the flours and the cereals and the breads and the sugars. And I will guarantee you, I don't know your wife and I'm not psychic, but I will guarantee you she's eating those kinds of foods, and probably lots of them. Now, it doesn't do you any good to say not to eat them, because our brain is hardwired to go out and find these kinds of foods, and food manufacturers know exactly what they need to do to make us addicted to their food. So what you got to do, if you find yourself eating these kinds of pro-inflammatory foods that degrade the body, dissolve the body, accelerate the rate of degeneration of the body, if you find yourself hooked on these kinds of foods, what you want to do is you want to replace your intake of these foods with nutrition and nutritional supplements. That means protein, number one. It's the fastest way to wean yourself off of these kinds of foods, is to get yourself on a good high-protein diet, as well as a protein supplement like the Nature's Way. Secondly, make sure she's getting the raw materials, the basic building blocks. We will eat food when we are nutritionally deficient because our body doesn't know that our food is empty, and it thinks if you go out and get more food, you're going to get nutrients. It doesn't know about our 21st century empty foods. It just assumes that when we go out and satisfy our hunger, we're going to get nutrients. That doesn't happen. So what you got to do is you got to replace the calories that you're taking in from breads and pastas and cereals and rices and snack foods and desserts and fruit juices and soda pop with nutrition. That means a Mighty 90. That means get your wife on that Healthy Start Pack as soon as possible. Have her sipping on the BTT, have her getting on the essential fatty acids. And by the way, essential fatty acids are spectacularly helpful for all connective tissue diseases and all inflammatory diseases. And like I was saying to the last caller, the odds are really good that your wife hasn't had any essential fatty acids in her system for years, maybe even longer, maybe decades. So getting her on the EFAs is also important. If she has any kind of digestive problems, those need to be corrected as well, because of if you have a digestive problem, it doesn't matter what kind of supplements you're taking in, you're not going to be absorbing them. So get her on the Ultimate Enzyme product. Make sure she's on the BioLumin Nightly Essence product as well. Long story short, get her on a nutritional supplement program. Wean her off of the foods that accelerate the degenerative disease process. And if you can't save her teeth, you can certainly save her life. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate it. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everyone. If you want to learn more about the Youngevity products, you can call your Youngevity rep. They'll be glad to help you out. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks so much for listening to us, folks. We will talk to you all later. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Bye for now.